Greetings, this is Griff Ruby with another Isaac Asimov short story review. This would be his third and last story to be put on the pages of Satellite Science Fiction. Now, instead of the tiny digest size, this one is of a new large size. But it is still the same magazine. And it gets a mention on the cover here. A statue for father. A humorous short story by Isaac Asimov. I guess it's kind of humorous. There's a sort of a gentle humor to it all. So, statue for father comes with a short. Let's see. Hold on. I think it's a little bit. Yeah, we have a on the table contents. There is a little tiny blurb. Okay, it says. The time grapple had an eerie affinity for dinosaurs. So, Isaac Asimov, page 33. So, now, go to page 33. And we have here a bit of artwork for the story. Small blurb. Title by Isaac, A Statue for Father. Isaac Asimov in the beginning of the story. Now, you get kind of a picture. This involves some sort of a time tunnel sort of thing. Let's see, how do they describe this thing here? He was trying to create a time. Oh, there it is. It was like a tunnel, but it wasn't a tunnel. Funnel. A funnel through time. So it doesn't really so much bring you to the past, but kind of open up this sort of a doorway to someplace in the past. So like here's these scientists in the foreground, and through that other thing it goes to a place where there are dinosaurs. Apparently this device had been invented. You could get these weird transitory glimpses of the past. Very transitory, very brief. But you can sometimes get a glimpse of old animals that have been extinct for millions of years, and clearly this was, an actual glimpse into the past. But it was very jittery, very hard to control. You could sometimes kind of reach through, but if the other end of it, sort of like a wormhole that bounces around all the time. If you stick something through and it suddenly bounces to another place, you may end up leaving a piece of whatever piece of metal or grapple type tool you put through it back there in the Mesozoic era or some such thing. And apparently scientists had struggled with this thing for 60 years trying to make it useful or more stable or something, and nobody could get it to do anything. Finally, this one guy, the father of this story, ends up with this equipment because nobody else wants to bother with it anymore. So he's playing with this thing, and then just some random stroke of luck, it's a clear, solid picture. It's stable, and they're able to pull something out or have something just actually fall through into the present. And a big lump of clay with, as it turns out, some 14 dinosaur eggs. They're alive, and they will hatch, and they do hatch. One dies in infancy, another one dies as a result of some struggle amongst the reptilian creatures that come out, but you still got 12 reptilian creatures coming out, 5 males and 7 females, and they make interesting little dinosaurs and so forth. But the dad wanted to study this whole mystery of this time travel and this time funnel, and to find some way to stabilize this thing, and he struggled with that to the end of his life. And from that standpoint, regarded himself as a failure. But he is actually a success in the view of everybody else, because they bred these dinosaurs, and they discovered that the dinosaur meat was really quite tasty, extremely tasty. Suddenly they're able to sell it to restaurants everywhere. They're breeding these dinosaurs, and they're selling their meat, hand over fist, and it ends up being a very major thing. One of those accidental discoveries. Now, one thing that I thought was kind of intriguing in all of this, I think this is where it is. Yeah. Chronofunneling. Yeah. So it actually mentions that sometimes other freak discoveries are also made. Oh, that's where was that? And just totally by accident. But the funny thing that's interesting in this thing that I like is it mentions actual. Okay, yeah. If the accident had not happened, the accident was one of these dinosaurs somehow ran into something that gave it a huge electric shock, fried the thing, and also blew up the chronofunnel permanently. That's done. That's over. And there's no way to build another one without a lot of money that nobody's willing to have or spend. But meanwhile, there's these little dinosaurs, and one just got fried, and they tasted the meat, and it was like, this is actually really good. And so it compares this to several events. These are, so far as I can tell, these seem to be real events, real names. Okay, it says it happens that way sometimes. Perkin spots a purple tinge in his gunk and comes up with aniline dyes. Remsen puts a contaminated finger to his lips and discovers saccharin. Goodyear drops a mixture on the stove and finds the secret of vulcanization. Now, I know that last is for real because I know about vulcanization. It's something you do to rubber to make it strong and cohesive. And Goodyear, of course, is famous for being the brand of tires, the ones with the blimp. Not the, there's no Goodrich tire blimp, but there is a Goodyear tire blimp, or there has been or was. I don't know if it still exists. But at any rate, and it's like, so these sound like real stories. I mean, I don't know about aniline dyes, but I know there was saccharin, and of course the Goodyear, the vulcanization. This is real. Well, it's kind of neat to get little tiny doses of something real in what is otherwise just a fictitious story. It's not a very long story, and basically he gets honored even with a statue on the hillside marking the exact spot where that one dinosaur accidentally got electrocuted and fried and instantly cooked into something that was delicious. So I guess it's kind of like the Colonel Sanders story, almost in a way. So he was a great success that way, even if he never made it as far as Colonel Mustard, in the ranks of the military, or in his case, made it as a great physicist working with chronofunnels to, I don't know, stabilize them, make them useful, whatever he was hoping to do with that. And that, in a nutshell, is the story. So it's kind of a light humor. It's a light general story here. It does get gathered up into by Jupiter, and there it is. It's a good little story. There's these short little bits that run through it, which at first I did not understand. They're kind of like little motifs setting for what's going to come. And so in and amongst the whole story of Father, you have these little italicized paragraphs. I'll just read those by themselves. The first one reads, "Hungry? All the better. I imagine it will take nearly half an hour. They will do it properly for an official such as yourself. It is a matter of pride." Okay, and then a little later on, "I don't wish to dictate, but please don't have any more of the breadsticks. The clear soup, eaten slowly, to prevent a too sharp appetite, will do." And then again, a little later on, for a little ways here, "Henry, is it almost ready? Good." Okay, finally we have, "Ah, Pierre, thank you. A superlative job. Now, sir, if you will allow me to carve. No salt now, and just a trace of the sauce. That's right. Ah, this is precisely the expression I always see on the face of a man who experiences first taste of the delight." In other words, this is how it is in the restaurant where these dino chicken, they call it. Tastes like chicken, but ever so much more so. Intriguing thought, huh? Anyway, so that in a nutshell is his next story. And this comes out in the February 1959 issue. Let's see if you can see this here. Very small print. There we go. February 1959. Although it's all still copyright 1958, meaning that physically this would have appeared on the newsstands in very late 1958, and in fact bringing a natural conclusion to stories published in that year. So, anyway, that's the statue for father. Thanks for listening.